About to experience the scrolling
That's so dope.
I love it every time.
That's so dope.
Brett with the Indie Comics Dispatch. This is Tyrone with Sovereign Comics.
What's going on?
We are your hosts for Broadcast from the Dispatch. This is just a preview episode, so we don't even know what's going to really happen here. So just bear with us as we just kind of vamp for probably about 30 minutes, and then we'll go from there. So anyway, I'm Brett. Yeah, just talking. Tyrone, and I was just going to start off by saying, I first became aware of you, Tyrone. I don't even know, probably through a hashtag or something with Indie Comics.
Probably.
I started following you, and then it's like, I'm going to buy some of this guy's books. And so I knew you were on Comixology, and I messaged you, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but I messaged you and I said, what's the best way to support you? Is it buying digital books or physical books? And you said, you know what? Nobody's ever asked me that before.
Never really. That was like a one of those first times. Like, wow, okay, how do I answer that? I want you to buy physical, but if you can't, you buy digital. And I think that's kind of
exactly what you said. I think, yeah.
So, like, you can't buy digital. It's because I know, I think during that time when everything was kicking off too. So
yeah. I think you had just finished your Temple High Kickstarter, and so I missed out, or maybe I did order that one. I think off of your website.
I think you did. I think you got that one. And if not, I got you. Because there's
I know I have it now.
Yeah,
so
you definitely have it now. Do you have the physical one though? Do you have the physical?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have the physical one.
Do you have the Saved by the Bell variant?
No.
Okay, I got you. There's a variant that I have in hiding. I only have maybe about 12 copies left because it was for the Kickstarter, like a Kickstarter tier.
Nice.
So people who backed it on Kickstarter got it, and it's like an old school, like Saved by the Bell type of themed cover, and it looks like a VHS dust cover. So if you flip it over, it says please be kind, please bag and board on the bottom. Instead of be kind and rewind, so it looks like an old dust cover. So it's pretty dope.
I love that. Now I remember agonizing because at that time I don't think you had that variant up on your website, but you had the regular cover for Temple High, I think the sketch cover for Temple High, and maybe a third cover.
Yeah, it was the Virgin variant cover.
Yeah,
which is the one I did the post of a couple of days ago, and everybody was like, what is that? Like, it's already been out for about a year now.
I agonized over which of those to buy, so I finally settled on the regular covers. Like, I'll just get regular.
Yeah, those Virgin variants, because I do with that one. That's an orange back exclusive, so I'm not trying to make all my variants like that. But the orange back exclusives, like, they're only going to be like 100 copies, and after that, that's it. They're done. They're gone. So
that's awesome.
People keep really sleeping. Cool. There's people that buy them like you and others. So people are like, oh, I'll get it later. No, you won't. After 100 is gone. I'm not bringing it back. I'm not going to be like the other indie guy. Indie people don't really do it, but the big guys like, oh yeah, it's only going to be here for a little bit, and then they bring it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So we can bring that what is it, that novelty back into the comics and stuff like that, and actually keeping things gone.
Yeah, and limited, and nothing's ever really gone in comics.
Exactly.
So I just want to take a second to introduce myself. My name's Brett. If you're new to the show or just kind of listening to this is going to go on YouTube as a preview episode and onto Anchor to be distributed as podcast form. So my name's Brett. I've been a comic book collecting person. That sounds weird. I've been collecting comic books for close to 30 years. Maybe it has been 30 years because I'm old.
I think I froze.
You did freeze. I was just going to keep going.
Keep going. Keep going.
I have really gotten into indie comics because, after so many years of collecting regular comics, you've kind of seen it all. So they just start recycling the same old storylines. And I got into the indie world and have just loved the storylines there, loved the diversity there. I have 7 kids, and so if a child of mine ever interrupts a broadcast or something, it's because we have a boatload of children, and our house is always hopping. So that's me. I'm just a huge fan. I'm not really a creator. I decided to do this to talk to cool people like Tyrone. Tyrone was my first interview I did, and kind of kicked the whole damn thing off. So
since there you exploded. You freaking launched to the moon. Everybody
it has gotten big.
Yeah, everybody wants to get on the Dispatch, and it's like,
I know. I was so afraid the first time I messaged you. I was like, "So I'm doing this thing on this other channel, but I'm doing this thing, and if you want to be interviewed, I would really appreciate it." And I was so afraid you're gonna be like, "No, that's stupid." And you're like, "Yeah,
I'm all for it," because, like, believe it or not, like, even though I've been doing this for a bit, like, I have people who will come to me and they'll find me, they'll see my comics, and they're like, "Where the hell have you been?" Well, I've been here. I've been here. Just no one, like, people look at it and like, no. They kind of push it aside, like, no. And it's mainly, I don't know, maybe it's competition feel, because, like, all of us are competing against each other. But I've always been the type of person where I'm just like, if I rise, like, everyone rises with the tide, the saying.
Yeah.
So I look at it like, if I rise, you rise. So I'm gonna help you. And most of the people I helped, like, turned around and was like, nope. And I was like, I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
A lot of them,
then.
A lot of them I saw soon, and they're just like, and it's like, so how's that working out for you now? But it's interesting. And, like, for me, if I can introduce myself, name is Tier. I go by Tier. That's what you will see for the editor's notes in all of my comics. I have owned Sovereign Comics. This is my company. I started in 2009. I actually started developing the universe in 2007 during one of my deployments. Wow. I needed to do something to take my mind away from things, so I started writing about my imaginary world, to take my mind away from everything. So yeah, I've been pretty much creating this universe since 2007. So when I say it's in depth, it's very in depth. And if you want to know how in depth, follow me on Instagram. I talk about it a lot of my lives. So you can, like, find out in there just how in depth this world is.
It is in depth from a fan who's reading it and then having just talked to you too. It is so in depth. I love it.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. Like, I already knew from the beginning. I was like, I want this to be interconnected, and I already had that mindset of doing it because I know me. And if I start writing a story and I start creating characters in that story, I start thinking about, okay, well, what about that character's mother? Like, were they a hero? Was this where they started a hero? And then I just start branching off from there. And that's honestly how a lot of it came to be. The Sovereign Comics universe started with 2 girls, the Rain twins, and then from there it started building into stories about their parents and stories about their parents, their parents' friends and their children of their parents, and all sorts of stuff, and just started blossoming from there. But I love it. Other than comics, I work in IT. Before that, I was in the military, 13 years, Marine Corps and Army. You can leave your jokes in the comment below. But yeah, Marines and Army. Yes, I did both. 13 years. I'm split between both of them. If I were to talk about my comics, I would say my comics are hellaciously diverse. If that scares you, I'll say just give them a chance, because I put story first. And Brick can tell you that. I put story first. So you're going to get a story out of them. I promise you. And everybody can read them, no matter who you are. I invite you all to read them, and you're all going to love them. I'll let you know.
You will. Trust me.
So, but
I read a lot of indie comics, and
you read a lot.
Are the best.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, just like
first 5-star rating, right? First 5-star rating on the Indie Comics Dispatch. I'm not biased.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna think they're like, really? And he's the co-star of the show. He's the co-host. 5-star rating. Trust me, that came with it, because Brett also was one of the first to fully tell me the truth about some of the things, like covers, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where I like some of my earlier comics covers.
I'll say,
but that's where I like some of them.
Your first issues are good, but there's a lot of information downloaded in your first issues. And so because of that, the second issues hit so much harder, though, because you're in the story at that point. So that's why Ayano Stigmata 2 got such high ranks, because it was second issue and you'd already laid the groundwork.
Yeah, you were like, oh, you knew where everything was going. You knew the relationship laid. You knew that he was going to get a team. You knew what the part of his life that was brought forward. And so when issue 2 came, you know, the sandwich was already made. You were just eating it then.
That's right.
It was already made. It was ready for you. And that's
right.
honestly one thing I wanted to do with all my first issues. Like, not to make them expedition dumps or, you know, like just story dumps, you know, because I still want to make them good and enjoyable. But I wanted to make it to where, okay, not the meat and potatoes, but enough of connective tissue is in the first issue. So when the seconds come out, you're reading them and you're like, oh, everything's making sense now. You're like just going from that's another reason why I tell people, like, everybody's like, can I just jump straight to issue 2? Because, you know, they're used to doing things like that with like Marvel and DC, and most people will just buy issue 1 to just have a collector, you know. But now you can't really do that anymore, because like we were talking about earlier, you know, they aren't really doing that anymore, you know. So there's so many issue 1s that it's not even really worth anything to have one. But a lot of people still buy issue 1 just for that, just for the collector thing, but they don't really read them. They just jump into the second one. But I tell people, you want to read issue 1, because if you jump into the second one, you're not going to understand what's going on. And I actually had one person who bought Cypher Team issue 2, and they read Cypher. They brought issue 1 and issue 2, right? And they read issue 2 first, and they was like, I feel so lost. They was like, I don't know what's going on. I was like, did you read issue 1? And they started telling me stuff. I was like, that's issue 2. Go read issue 1. They read issue 1. They were like, it makes sense now. I know where I'm. Okay, this is great. I know what's going on. I don't want to miss issue 1.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh, so the Indie Comic Dispatch got started with Tyrone as our first interview guest, and has just kind of grown from there. And so when we launched this new show, that's actually from the date of this recording, launches live in 1 week. It's a panel setup. We're going to have lots of guests on each week, different theme each week. I'm really excited about it, getting all sorts of different creatives on.
Me too.
And there was when I was trying to think of a co-host, there was no better thought that crossed my mind, no better selection I could have made than asking Tyrone. And so I was honored when you said yes. And so, here we are. So
this is, for me, it was the honor. You know, I'm like, geez, like, you want me to do what? You want me to get on your show, talk to other indie comic creators about the stuff that they're doing? Can I curse? Hell yeah, I would do it. Like, be dumb for me not to, like, you know. So I was all for it. I was like, yes, let's do that. And it's just amping up and waiting for that to go. It's like, as it got closer, to get more anxious and more anxious and more anxious. I'm sitting here, you know, looking at what the other creators are doing and looking at who we're potentially going to talk to on these nights and stuff like that, and just getting more hyped up. And like, for me, like, even though I'm a creator, like, I get just as hyped looking at other people's stuff as I do my own. You know, it's just, like you were saying, like, going to the indie comics, like moving from mainstream to indie comics and supporting indie comics or reading indie comics. There is so much creativity in the indie comics world. It's nuts. You know, it's like, and that's the part, like, to a sense, I've kind of honestly, like, I've moved away from mainstream. Most of my comics I have now are majority indie. Like, you know,
me too.
And it has everything, you know, like a lot of these individuals who are creating, you know, their indie titles, they're creating them because they were told no by the big guys. So they were like, you know, I'm going to do it myself. You know, they may have felt that they weren't good enough for the big guys, so decided to do it themselves. You know, they may not have liked the direction.
Here you are. Oh, you froze for just a second.
Oh, did I?
Dang
it. Stop freezing. Stop it. But yeah, you know, like, they might have not liked the direction the big guys are going right now. And decided to go their own direction and stuff like that. So you have, like, honestly, just within the indie, like everybody's wanting diversity, and just within the indie comics ranks, you got all the diversity you can ask for.
You do. You do.
Yeah,
I got sent a comic today to review for the Indie Comic Dispatch. I haven't looked it up yet. I don't know anything about it. But the story is about some revolt. It's a historical fiction about some revolt against the Roman Empire that I had never even heard of. I'm like, you can literally find everything in the indie comic world.
Yeah, you can find stories about anything. Stories that you may have just sat down and like, I wonder why no one has done that. Which not to my own, but Anyama Stigmata is pretty much how that story got started. It's pretty much about a Tuskegee airman who gets shot to the other side of the galaxy by 2 Foo Fighters during World War II. And you think about the concept, and you're like, Foo Fighters, World War II, fighter pilot. Why hasn't anyone done that?
Yeah,
I don't know, but no one has, so I did it. And that was a comment. But this is the type of stuff that you see in the indie ranks. You see a lot of things that you won't see in mainstream, and a lot of creators in indie, they go is like no holds barred. It's like so many of them are just like, I don't care anymore. I just want to tell my story, and they're doing it. There's some really great stuff coming forward. And I froze.
And you did for a second, but we can still hear you. Your audio's still coming through.
Okay. Audio still coming through my camera.
Yeah, your camera's frozen. You look very inquisitive. Oh, there you are. Jamal Bilal, who wrote a comic book called Half Breeds, he said when I interviewed him that comics, the comic industry is really one of the only industries, in addition to film, that you have to be in before you're in. And so, like, people who want to make it big, who might still want to make it big, kind of have to almost go the indie route nowadays first.
So. And I know a lot of people keep saying, like, wanting to break into comics and stuff like that. And my own professional advice to you is just make a comic.
Yeah. That's what time and time again, when I interview creators, I'm like, what advice do you have? They're like, just do it.
Just make a comic. If you have a story on your head, on your mind, if you can't draw, find an artist. If you can't, if you can't ink, find an inker. If you can't color, find a colorist, or find someone who can do all three and they're good at it or good enough, or someone that you can actually pay them. You have the money to pay them. Please, for the love of God, don't short your artists. Don't do that. No. And artists don't short your publishers and your editors. We're a team. Don't do that. I never short my artists. I always pay them ahead. Pay them on time. But I have been like, I gave one dude like I'm not gonna say any names, but I gave him like a $2,000 advance, and he bolted. So I mean, don't do that. You find them, and you get that story created. The indie comics world is thick. And there are a lot of people who will help, and then there are some who might not. But you just find the one who can help. Like, I'll help. If you find me on Instagram and ask me questions, I'm gonna tell you, because I had a rough road coming up, trying to figure things out. But if you want to get in, you want to break into comics, just make a comic. Seriously.
Well, that's one of the things I've noticed about the indie comic world is that everybody's so helpful and nice, but for a large time, I think it's starting to happen now, but the Instagram indie comic world, it wasn't very connected.
It wasn't.
And then on Facebook, there's all these great indie comic groups, but they're more people just popping in, promoting their stuff, and then leaving. I mean, hell, I do that. I go post Indie Comics Dispatch shit, and I don't participate in much else, And so, I mean, I feel like one of the things that I'm trying to accomplish, and that the whole team at Indie Comics Dispatch, because we're a team now, that we're trying to do is to unite the indie community, into a true community with give and take and support and everything. I feel like you said earlier, all boats rise with the tide. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted, like, when you extended the offer for this show, I was like, of course. Like, and then you extended the offer, want to be a reviewer? Of course. Like, why not? Because like I said, I love working indie. Like, right about now, like, I have my own publishing company. I don't foresee myself ever working for Marvel or DC unless they come to me and say, would you like to write a story, and it's just like a little mini series, and then I might do that. But other than that, I don't foresee myself doing it because I like where I'm at with indie. You know, so many magnificent creators, so many nice people, and now with Indie Comics Dispatch doing interviews and reviews and so much other cool stuff that's coming, like what we have planned for like the end of this month. And I'm not going to say I'm not going to say anything, but what's planned for the end of this month, and then guests we have for November, and all the stuff that we have going on. Only thing it's doing is just bringing the indie comics world together even more, and that is something that was needed, because on Instagram it wasn't really there. We were all kind of to the winds, and then we were finding each other kind of onesie and twosie and stuff like, oh, you make comics, I do too, you know. And then we'll get together and we're talking, and then we're using like the indie comics hashtag. I am honestly glad I've decided to move to Instagram. Facebook never really worked for me, and I noticed, like, for me it seems, and I'll probably get hate for this, but for me, it seems it's clicky.
I agree with that.
I don't like clicks. I've never liked that. Like, I don't like good old.
And it depends upon which group you're in too on Facebook. Like some are clicky around these people, some are clicky around those people, and it's just, I guess, who was in the group at the beginning. Maybe, I don't know. I wasn't there at the beginning, but it's clicky.
And that's what I noticed too. Like with a lot of them, if you weren't there in the beginning, no one cares unless you're mega big time and they've heard of you, or somebody said, oh yeah, they got a movie that was selected, and everybody wants to post and share your stuff then. And it's like, you didn't realize they're not giving you anything, so why?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, but that's just the way I guess the way the monster is, the way things go, you know. But it's weird, and that happens more there than it does on Instagram, I think, because people see it. And I noticed with Instagram, there's been like this healthy competition, which is what's been pumping me up. Like, I love that. Like with Black Moss Comics, like me and Black Moss Comics, like we've developed a healthy competition with each other. Like, even with us in Concrete, like I'll post something in Concrete, post something, I'm like, dang, I gotta step it.
And then you all are commenting on each other's stuff, I've noticed too, and that seems to be newer too, that community of commenting back and forth on people's stuff, which is really cool.
Exactly.
That's really neat.
That's a fun thing too, because it's like I remember I would post in groups, and I knew there were people in there, and like other creators wouldn't post, but like on Instagram, it's I don't know, it just feels different over there. And it could be because of the fact that it's just posting art, and because we have those hashtags, so it's more visible and you feel like you're more of a family. Just like I was talking to LaShawn Coburn earlier today. We were talking on the phone. You know, she has the Beautiful Soldiers comic that's coming out, and I was actually talking with her like way in the beginning of that book create. Like, me and her have been friends for a while, and I told her, I was like, come over to Instagram. But she has like a huge following on Facebook. Like her Facebook following is insane. But I was like, come over to Instagram. Like, we're over there. We'll welcome you.
The water's nice in these parts.
It's nice over here. The war. She was telling me, she was like, yeah, I saw you, because like she's actually I don't know if you saw this, but she was the editor on Stars Issue 1. Okay. So like I said, we've been friends for a while. You know, and she was like, well, I saw you were tagging me and stuff. I was like, yeah, but then I noticed that you weren't there, so I just stopped, you know. So we'll probably see.
We're going to have her on in November.
In November.
That's going to be cool.
She's excited for that.
So the first episode we're going to have is a indie comic crossover. That's on the 14th. It's the Nightfall crossover. It's a crossover between Wingless Comics, Concept Moon Studios, and Constant Hustle Comics. Three indie comics doing this. And doing this awesome crossover. The art they've been posting is amazing. And so I can't wait for that to launch on Kickstarter. That launches on Kickstarter on the 16th, I think, for that crossover. And then the next week, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have Horror Night on the Wednesday. And then we're going to end the month on the 28th with Werewolf Night. So that one night, so the 21st will all be horror writers, horror anthology editors, people who are really just in the horror genre. And then the 28th will be very specific to people who write werewolf characters.
And I'm looking forward to all of them. Like I told you before, like I kind of kicked myself because we're doing this October, and I'm like, because you know my other title, the Hellfighter, which I've been kind of keep a secret, but I'm gonna do a live. So if anybody who follows me on Instagram, you've been to my lives, I'm gonna do a live. Probably when I end this, I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm gonna do a live. We'll see. And I want to talk about Hellfighter because that's another one where it takes old black, you know, military warfighter and puts them in the middle of nothing. You know, he was a Harlem Hellfighter and died in battle in France, but didn't really die. So that's all I'm gonna say. That goes into some horror. Like for me, like I grew up like loving horror. Like I read Stephen King. Like I love, Hellraiser. Like I was watching Hellraiser when I was like 9, 10 years old, and it didn't scare me. I was just like, this is awesome. So I'm just ready.
Where I was little and I was like watching Poltergeist at like age 3 and like it was all good. And then when like The Grudge and The Ring came out, I was like, nope, I can't do horror anymore. But now I'm getting back into it via comic books.
It's weird. It's like horror went different. The only, like for instance, I have a character who's gonna pop up in Stars named Marionette. And I was telling LaShawn about her earlier and about her powers and stuff like that. But the best way to think of her, she's like, the way she can do things. If you remember Puppet Master and how those puppets work, she can do crap like that. That's part of her power set. So she's going to be doing some really creepy stuff. And I'm going to be pulling like the creepy aesthetic from like Puppet Master and what was that one? I think it was one called Mommy Dearest, was it? I think it was another one about another.
Yeah, there was one.
Back in the 70s or 80s. And then like, of course, Child's Play, which everybody calls Chucky, but it's really Child's Play.
It's really Child's Play. Come on, y'all. Get with it.
But yeah, I can't wait to start getting into the horror aspect of things and like just talking to everybody about their books. All that is doing is hyping me up more, but that's the cool part. What we're building with Indie Comics Dispatch, that community, and it's like everyone's pumping each other up. Everybody's motivating each other, and I see these horror books coming out, and I'm just like, oh, you guys just wait. I got something for you. But it's like, but that's the fun part of it. I
don't know if you saw, as we line up the guests and kind of announce the nights, I put all the creators in an Instagram chat together. And so they can kind of get to know each other a little bit before the show. And that's Horror Writers one. Somebody, I forget who it was like, hey, if anybody ever needs help with an anthology. And then somebody else was like, oh, I might call on you for that. And somebody else was like, oh, I might know an artist if you need an artist. And it was really cool just watching it kind of like click.
Yeah, that's the coolest part of it. Just like with the Kickstarters going on right now. Like I know it was myself, Black Moss Comics, Concrete Comics, J1. I think he ended his with
he ended his.
So he ended his before we all started. But I think all three of us were going at the same time.
Yeah,
and all three of us backed each other's Kickstarter. You know, and that's the cool part. That's the community. Is like you want to see each other rise because if they do good, I'm gonna do good. And if I do good, they're gonna do good. So it's like, and to me, that's the cool part.
And a little shout out to speaking of those Kickstarters, Encased Comics. I always want to give him a shout out because he runs an online store, encasedcomics.com, but he's been backing indie comics at the retail tier if they have the retail tier. And so I think he did yours, Concrete. I think he's done Black Moth. I mean, he's just going through and backing them to stock his store with these comics so people can all go to one place.
That dude is awesome. I talked to him a lot, and I think he's even thinking of. Hopefully, I can say this. I think he's even thinking about dipping his feet into the comic creation area. And I was like, "Well, got questions. I got answers. I'll put you in touch with my printer. If you need artists, I know who could talk to who are actually good and will actually do good work. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. A lot
of coolness going on. Like even one dude who he's starting the new verse, and I want to kind of start pulling him into the group. And
I think I've seen him.
Yeah, he's been posting. Like he actually has so you read Yamo Stigmata issue 2, of course, because you rated it. If you remember the 3 characters that popped in that were like they were looking for Lepus.
Yeah,
It
they
was
were they the backers where they got written in, weren't they?
yeah. Were the back.
Yeah.
So his character was the female character who was like in the front, and the thing was she was actually human, and so we went talking back and forth because he wanted to understand how to create, how to go more into creating and bringing her into the Cyberverse universe, and we ended up turning her into like this alien that's more serpent like. That's the reason why I gave her like that type of tongue and everything when she like snake tongue and everything like that. But that's his character. And then he has another character that's into the high issue too. So, and now he's doing his own books. He's gonna be putting his own characters in his own books and everything like that. So,
what'd you say he was again? Was that
New Verse? That's what it comes to. New Verse Comics. So
I gotta make sure.
Yeah, he's from the UK. And he's starting to build his and stuff like that. And I told him, I was like, he actually has this one group of characters. I might have to buy them from him. I'm trying to get them. And I already talked to him about it. I was like, I want them. I was like, either let me have them or write them for you. I was like, I'll write their stories for you. But they're so awesome. I don't want to say too much about them because there's somebody might be like, come on, check them out. I'm like, oh dang, they are awesome. And then
yeah.
But I think he said cool. I think he said I could have them. But I'm, of course, if that is the case, of course, I'm giving him creative credits because he created
right.
them. They're so dope. Like it really gives me I'll say it in hint, but everybody will catch it because all us indie comic creators and fans were all like, major league comic heads, most of us. Mm-hmm. But like they really remind me of the first Marvel family. They have a nice feel to that. Different, but have a nice feel to that. And I was like, oh, I would love, even though I got a lot of families in the Cyber Comics universe, something like that would be kind of cool, So
yeah,
but
that's so awesome.
He's doing some great things. He's starting off good, and so I think he's gonna have some great things. Like even Dope Girls Comics.
Yeah, I can't wait for them to put something out finally.
She's been posting some characters and stuff like that. And I've been talking to her. I'm like, I'm ready for it, but they're working on it. They're kind of working silently, but they're kind of working and posting things. So there's a lot of stuff coming, and it's like that's the reason why I said it. Like in the indie comics, where it's funny because you and not to get, I guess, political, even though it's not. I don't know, but like a lot of people look to DC and Marvel like, include me, and it's like I look at the indie comics store, and I'm just like, it's in there. Everything is in there. So it's like everything you want is in there from
it really is.
Creators.
And I'm always like every week I do a Monday morning kickstart, 5 Kickstarters to watch this week. I think I repeated one time on accident. But I never repeat. And there's always so many comics on Kickstarter to choose from to feature in that. There's just comic upon comic upon comic upon comic from every country of the world just about. Yeah. I mean, it is crazy how many indie comics I read that people send me to review, that I buy, that I back, and I will never get past the tip of the iceberg on the amount of content that's out there in indie comics.
So much stuff out there. I think right now, the fact that people are still saying they're not seeing what they want is because they're not looking.
Yeah.
That's kind of the mindset that I've come to now. So like people saying that they're not seeing, inclusivity or, like I had one person like come to me, and I think this was before Temple High, and they were like, do you have any characters who are overweight? I was like, wait for it. She's coming. And then I introduced Della. And the people who saw her fell in love with her. But that person never came back.
Really?
And I was that's when it kind of started clicking for me. I'm like,
yeah.
Because they want it, or are they and that's when it kind of started clicking for me. But I noticed some people want it. Because like the ones who asked me for it, the ones who wanted it, they came back. So that's what I've been like for me as a creator. That's what I've been focusing on more with my writing is giving my fans what they want, and then new fans. So like, and then a lot of people, that's what they tell me. They come over and they're like, I see a lot of stuff in here that I've been asking for and it's here. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and it's not just me. Like I'll tell them about other indie comic creators. I'm like, have you heard of Concrete? Have you heard of Beautiful Soldiers? Have you heard of Black Moss? Have you heard of Miskatonic High? Have you heard of, and I'm just like naming off stuff. Like, have you heard of Delta Dogs? Millennial Comics? Like, have you heard of Raxon Universal with freaking like mech stories galore. So like,
Yeah.
like if you want mech, like everything is in the indie comics world. Like
Mhm.
mech, supernatural, horror, superhero, freaking slice of life, straight up just LGBTQ books. Like
Yeah.
everything that you want
Everything.
is there. You know, but we'll see. Everybody start listening. So I think we do more of these. People will be like, "Oh, maybe I have been at the wrong party." Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Over to
You
the-
mainstream fanboys and girls out there, you've been missing out.
come on to the indie party. I'm telling you, you can find everything you want. You're gonna find everything you want. So, but it's fun. It's fun in that aspect. It's dealing with creating with everybody and stuff like that. It's just dopeness. But
It is.
yeah. So what we're gonna talk about. Want to tell them about the other event that's going on at the end of the month.
The one that I was just chatting about earlier.
Yeah.
So okay, sure. Because by the time I get this uploaded, I'll probably post about it.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, from when we're recording this, hopefully tomorrow, I think I'm saving it for my 1,000th post on Instagram. Oh, Tyrone, your robot voice is coming through.
Oh gosh.
That's a recurring thing with Tyrone, if you haven't noticed, if you haven't paid attention to other stuff that we've done with Tyrone. So 1,000th, because I can't say it without a lisp, post tomorrow, we'll be announcing the Indie Costume Challenge, which is a collaboration. I think we're up to 14 creators. Myself and Head Nerds in Charge are putting on a costume contest for October. Each creator will encourage their fans to cosplay in one of their own characters, and they will award one of their fans a prize of their own. And then all the grand prize winners will be judged by Head Nerds in Charge and I. And then the winner of that will get the creator, and the cosplayer will get interviewed on the Head Nerds in Charge Wednesday show, which is a massive show. They got like 75,000 fans on Facebook. I partner with them, so full disclosure, we already partnered together, but for lots of things. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. Really excited to see again that interconnectedness and the indie comic community just kind of connecting and building community, and hopefully fans of Sovereign Comics seeing fans of Black Moss Comics and thinking, oh, hey, that's cool. And then fans of Concrete Comics seeing fans of CNS Comics and thinking, oh, hell, that's cool. I want to follow those people too. Yep. And so, yeah.
It'll be dope. It'll be super
dope.
Will
be.
I know,
can't wait.
I'm into it because I know, I already have 2 dope cosplayers on actually more than 2. It's just the other ones I really haven't said anything about. But there's a couple others.
And I haven't said this
the 2 that
anywhere.
Are, like Mutant Glue and SJ Displays Cosplay, but then there's other ones like Teneva, and then there's a lot of other ones. But we'll see.
I can't wait to start seeing them.
Yeah, because Teneva did one. She did it on a sneak tip. She did Sanjera, and she did it sneakily. Like she did it, posted it. And I cried for a little bit, and then it came back. Like it just kind of went away. So I hope she will post it again. But she actually went as far as painting the straps on her.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, that's
awesome.
It was crazy. It was real crazy.
Well, and I haven't said this anywhere, but part of the impetus for doing this is my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, who so really quick backstory: 5 of my kids are Black because they're not my biological kids, and so I kind of got into all this because of diversifying my comic collection, because I realized how white it was for my Black kids. And so my 7-year-old daughter, who is Black, has really noticed that and really been like, oh, that's Brother Man. Oh, that's Black Man. Oh, that's Odina. Oh, that's, and just can start naming off all these indie comic Black characters, which I love. She has decided, I'm not going to say who it is yet because I want to wait for the picture reveal, but she, for Halloween, is going to be an indie comic Black character.
See, that is dope. That is so dope.
So we're putting that costume together, and I just kind of thought, this should be a contest.
Yeah,
this will be fun.
That would be dope. And I think, and here, I'm going to do this, and everybody else, it might be like, dang, Tier, why'd you say that? I'll go as far as this, for those who cosplay your character, if you have a book coming up of that title, Why not add them to the back pages?
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna do it. So I challenge all of you other indie comic creators that are gonna be part of this. Are you gonna do it? Because I'm gonna do it. So if you cosplay any Sovereign Comics character, you will be in that next book towards the
That's
back.
fantastic.
So people can see you.
So when I bring people together for that creator chat about promoting this, you need to throw it down there too.
I'll put that in there. They're probably gonna be like, dang it. they'll probably do it though, honestly. Because like it's a real cool, we're in a real cool community.
Yeah.
They'll probably do it.
So I'm excited about that, about announcing all the creators we have doing that. It's going to be cool. I'm trying to pull up my Instagram right now to see if I can name some of the creators that have agreed to do it. So we got Ray Comics, TJ Sterling of Ray Comics, this guy named Tyrone from Sovereign Comics. I don't know.
Who's that nobody?
Concrete Comics, Wingless Comics, Millennial Comics, Black Moss Comics, The Convictor Comics, Catalyst Comics Studios, Snowy Works, Ryan Tavares, CNS Comics, Dream Fury Comics, Eminent Comics, Hold That Down Bro Comics, and maybe a couple more.
Jeez, this is gonna be dope.
This is gonna be huge.
It's gonna be so cool. I'm wondering though, like, I would love to see whoever cosplays the main character from Dream Fury's comics from
Me Too, the Baron Samedi, or the Jonah, the motorcycle guy.
Whoever cosplays Jonah, I want to see that. That's gonna be cool. But then also at Ray Comics, who's gonna do that armor? Because the armor on his character is like they kind of put. I'm not gonna lie, they put Power Rangers to shame.
Yeah.
The armor on those, I can't wait to get those books.
I know.
I'm so looking forward to them. But yeah, it's a lot of these characters. Like even the Black Moss comics. Like one thing I like about Black Moss comics is he kind of got me thinking out of the box. But that's what we were talking about earlier, like the competition of it all, and looking at his character designs. It was almost like he was like, don't care. Yeah, I got a guy who looks like an ant. I got a girl that looks like like an osprey. Like. I'm just I'm doing what I'm doing it. That's how I want, and I'm just looking at all of this, and I'm like, I love the freedom that he took with that. So now I'm rethinking a lot of my character design, even though I do have characters who don't. Like if you look at Cypher Team and stuff, and you'll notice, like in the first couple of pages, there are a lot of characters who don't look human. Like they look, either animalistic or Earth-like, whether it's rock or tree or whatever. They have these looks. But I just really enjoyed that a lot of his main characters were like that, and he barely has any that look like human.
Normal,
like there's barely any that look normal. And I think the one who looks, I can't think of her name, but she's the one that wears the trench coat, kind of has the Rorschach looking mask almost.
I just saw he posted fan art of her today.
And she's a dope looking character too, but she looks kind of humanoid only because of that. But I don't know if that's her actual face or not, because if it is.
And I love Paul's whole concept that just one day randomly, this E-Day, as they call it in the Black Moss universe, a certain percentage of the world's population got superpowers. And they were just forever changed. Like, how much would that fuck up the world? Like, God.
Exactly. And it's so weird. Like when you're coming with those type of backstory. Go ahead. Like, when you're coming with like those type of backstories and stuff like that. How do the powers come? Where do they come from? And like for me, like I've had a lot of people ask me, like, where did the powers come from? And then like I had to tell them, I'm like, okay, well, it happened a long time ago. But then I have to explain to them, like, in my universe, what makes it different is humanity got their powers from the Zodiac gods. So I actually have the Zodiac, and they're actually gods. And Sagittarius gave certain people powers to protect, so that they could protect Earth from an impending doom. So, but their powers didn't activate until later. So, hold on, real quick.
Really cool. You're good. We are a family show at Indie Comics Dispatch. We bring our families. As Tyrone wraps that up.
Yep, I'm back.
Okay. All right. Well, this is probably a good point to come to a close for our preview episode anyway. So, I am just way looking forward to this. Tyrone and I have been chatting about this for, a month at least, probably more. about this new show format. I think it was probably about a month ago. We did our first panel to kind of test the waters of it. And it was such an exciting and invigorating evening that I loved it. And we were like, yeah, this is it. This is what we're doing. And so next Wednesday, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we're on with different people. And like I said, next week is the Nightfall crossover with Brian Lambert's Wingless Comics, Constant Hustle Comics, and Concept Moon Studio, which I didn't know Concept Moon Studios is based out. I mean, he used to live here, but he lives in like Saudi Arabia now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't really know how he's joining us, but I guess he's up in the middle of the night or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's morning then. I don't know. I don't know how time works.
Yeah, I think it's like, if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while since I've been over there. Like last time I was over there in 2010. But if I'm not mistaken, it's like when it's night here, it's day there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that might work out for him then, since we record at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So
that'll probably be fine.
Yeah. Anyways, everybody out there, thanks for watching this or listening to this preview episode, depending upon where you're at with it. We are our episodes will be live, but they'll also be broadcast onto various podcast streaming services, and then always live on YouTube, Facebook. You can always go back and watch past episodes there. So this is the conclusion of our preview episode. And again, everybody, thanks for watching. This is going to be a fun ride, and we'll who knows where we'll go from here. But I'm glad that I have Tyr as my co-host and my co-pilot on this ride.
It's going to be so dope. I am excited. Next time I will have less tough technical difficulties. Like camera freezing, robot voice. I'm having a new mic by next time.
I ordered a new mic, and I hope it's in by next week too, but I don't know if it will be.
Yeah, we'll see, because I think this thing's on its last leg, which is unfortunate. It's been good. So
all right. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Take it easy.